It's personal statement time, and here are my top tips for planning and writing a personal statement for geography. Now, some of these tips you may have heard about before, but others are more specific to geography and exactly how to write it. Firstly, very excited, good choice for picking geography. You are now my favourite person. It is an excellent degree, but you know that because you're deciding to study it. If you are new, don't forget to hit subscribe and like as well. So before you start writing, you really need to think, why geography? Geography is such an interesting subject. It's my favourite, but it is also so broad. What exactly do you like about geography? Which topics are your favourite? So globalisation or glaciation? Your personal statement needs to show a genuine interest. So this is how I usually advise students on how to plan writing a personal statement. What I would do is grab a plain piece of paper and write geography in the middle, and then the topics you enjoy as different branches. Then around each topic, write specifics. What exactly did you like about that topic? And more importantly, have you done anything else to go beyond in that area? So have you read any books that link to the topic, or articles or online lectures, even films? Have you collected fieldwork on this topic? And does the topic link to any of your other subjects? And through this, you're building a visual of what you like about geography, linking to your extra reading and experience, all in one mind map. This can take anything from an hour to a few days, but keep coming back to it. It is much easier to know what you are going to say and then write it, rather than writing a billion drafts. You can also use this method to structure your personal statement. So through this method, you should have branches of different topics which you like, linking to experiences and wider reading. Just circle the branches and number them 1 to 3 or 4, and then you start to have a structure for the main body of your application. Hands down, planning it is the best way to go. Don't just jump straight in. And some advice I'd also give is don't worry about starting with your introduction. The intro can seem like so much pressure. It's the first line unis read about you. And you can end up taking hours just thinking over that first line. So what I think to do is just start writing. Start almost like the middle or second paragraph. And then you actually might come to a sentence. You're like, wow, actually that sounds really good. And then you can just put that as the first sentence. Or you might kind of read over it and then actually think there's one theme which ties everything over together. Lots of people cringe about their first sentence, but as long as you just say, and it includes like why you love the subject, and not just say, oh, I've loved geography since I was 5 years old, and you have it genuine, then it will be fantastic. Also, a few things I've had as a teacher is students just defining geography. You know what geography is, you're going to study at university. The universities know what geography is because it's their subject. We all know what geography is, you don't need to define it in your personal statement. So don't waste the space. Don't tell them what geography is. Tell them why you want to spend 3 years of your life studying it. Extra reading. Now, I think this is so important. What have you read to deepen your interest in geography? Now, this can be a book, and I have some videos on my channel if you want some recommendations of good A-level reading, or it can be articles. You're about to study geography, which is a 3-year course of study or more. So you need to tell them that you're interested in the subject and enjoy spending time engaging with the subject. But importantly, and I will come back to this, it's not what the book is, it is how has the reading shaped your understanding and your opinions. Don't tell me, show me. Some of the best UCAS personal statements I've read for students applying for Oxford, for example, link the books to a topic they're interested in and use it to critically examine points, and maybe use 2 alternative views to show critiques. Now, if you are applying to Oxbridge, you may want to write your personal statement in more of an academic slant, where you're using the personal statement to demonstrate your use of literature and your arguments. However, this is also very impressive to do in a short space, and it may not be necessary for everyone. Showing us how the book has made you think is also just as valid. One thing for geography which you may want to write about is your NEA or independent investigation. You have shown so many skills through producing this. Also, as it was independent, hopefully it's on something that you enjoy, so it can show the universities your areas of interest. At university, you're required to use lots of independent skills. So if you've shown these before you start, that's fantastic. So you might be collecting data, presenting, analysing, and even using statistics. Now, don't just reel off a list like I've just done, but pick a few that you can talk about in detail to demonstrate your skills. Again, it comes back to don't tell me, but show me. Also, universities love GIS. I mean, I had to do it for 3 years when I was at uni. So if you have used Esri ArcGIS or another form of spatial mapping, then talk about that, how that has helped you in your understanding, like maybe it's helped you see spatial and temporal changes. BSc or BA, should your statement be different? So hopefully you've done some research on which courses you might like to apply to. Now usually, but not always, you can apply for a BA, which is a Bachelor of Arts. This is more kind of human geography, or a BSc, which is a Bachelor of Science, the more physical. Now for Durham, I know they have the BA and the BSc, and they're taught separately. However, there are some joint modules. And I had a friend who started doing the BSc, and in the first year they realised they wanted to do the BA. And they did manage to switch, but it was quite hard. Whereas in Bristol, where I went, all of the course was a BSc, so you're all grouped together in the first year. You obviously got to pick modules, but then you end up branching off in your second year. So I would say that although I'm more of a human geographer, I actually have a BSc. But we did do a lot of statistics, and that's probably why it was counted as a BSc. Why am I saying all this? Well, if you do want to go down the physical route and the more BSc route, then it is usually more mathematical, and therefore in your personal statement, I would demonstrate that you have the skills for this. So maybe you love rivers, maybe you've done some experiments in science, and the skills you've gained here have deepened your understanding for erosional processes. I'm not sure, but just to think about including that mathematical, statistical side, because universities will be expecting you to use those skills when you get to university. The geography community, another thing to add in. Are you a member of the RGS? Do you read the magazine Geographical? Are you part of a school club that links the environment? Have you run or supported eco clubs? These are always great to include. But remember, do not just tell them, but show them how this has developed you. Have you attended any lectures? The RGS has many online lectures. I have many lectures with a range of different academics for further reading. Go and look at what the academics have written. You can also think about how they've influenced you. Your other subjects, these are important to include, but remember you are demonstrating to the universities that you want to study geography. So how has, for example, sociology helped you gain an understanding and deepen your understanding of geography? You need to make everything that you're talking about relevant to the subject. Work experience, DofE, all that jazz, fantastic, you can include it. Again, don't tell me, show me. Why has that made it useful for you studying a geography degree? Has it been that you've developed teamwork and therefore can collect fieldwork together? So really thinking about what have you learnt from all those experiences. Interviews. If you're applying for somewhere that may interview you, make sure that you can answer any question on your personal statement. You need to make sure you've read all the books. You need to make sure that you know exactly what you're talking about. So, one tip I had a while ago was if you put a question mark after each sentence, could you answer a question on that sentence in your personal statement? And if you can, then you're fine. And finally, proofreading. This is so important. I cannot stress it enough. Some people will find easier writing than others. I've always struggled with writing, and sometimes when you're so into it, you can just miss a spelling or miss a grammatical error. Put it down, come back to it an hour later, come back to it a day later, ask a parent or someone you trust to go through it finally and proofread it. This is your gateway to a university of your choice. You really do not want to lose it at the last hurdle. What it looks like to someone reading it is that you don't care and you haven't put enough effort in. So show them that you do care, make sure there are no errors. If there is something that I haven't covered, please just comment below and I'll do like a Q&A session on personal statements. Hopefully this is really useful, and some universities also have fantastic links of questions to get you thinking, so I'll also put that below.